talking about the strong Yemenis, you are the mascot for being one of the strongest Yemenis, especially on women's rights issues. How in Yemen do you go about to prevent women underneath the age of 17 from being married?
Do you remember when I told you that there was a big debate? Okay, we have to discuss about the government rule. The ministers, and I told them, no, go to the dictator. He is the one who caused every problem in my country. And if this dictator leave, we can then build a lot of things. We respect the human rights. We will be able to fight corruption. So this thing, the same answer to you. So before the revolution, there was a lot of debates in all this kind of rights. The children rights, women's rights, the preventing the early marriage, the right of political right of women to be in the parliament, etc., etc. So I said, and I still said, if we are under the ruling of dictators, any kind of right, if it's there, this right, it's fake rights. So with the early marriage, we have a big debate with the government, with the religious people, with the society, a lot of demonstration again, and we couldn't do any kind of improvement. If there is one step, then the government make 10 steps back. But when we made the revolution against, the same thing you can measure it with the women's right, etc., etc. But when we step down the dictator Ali Saleh, and we enter to the transitional period, and when we enter to the national dialogue, and when we wrote the constitution, one of the most important articles that we put in the draft of constitution is preventing the early marriage. So can we do it like the preventing in the constitution, preventing it? More than that, putting the age of childhood as 18 years old. More than that, we guaranteed the women's right, the women participation in every institution, in the judiciary, in the army, in the parliament, in government. We put it in the constitution, 30%. So we put the solutions. So with the dictator, we will not be able to make this solution. The only thing that we can have with dictator, maybe pointing some women in this position or that as a decor. But when you are really building a great democracy, you guarantee it in the legislation and also in the practice. So we made it after the transitional, in the legislation, in the constitution, and before that in the revolution itself. So women before the revolution was playing traditional role, just in the kitchen, or if she will work in the outside, maybe she will work with the women environment. But in the revolution, we practice it. We lead the street with men. We lead men. Is there more than that, kind of political participation? And men in my country accepted our role. And it's, oh my God, they called me, our second queen of Bilqis, our second president, it's like, so they believe in me as women, they didn't shame, oh no. And the same thing with many women led every details of the revolution. So we led the revolution. We led the transitional period. We were in the highest committee in the that organizing the national dialogue. We were in the constitution committee. We were in every details, not less than 30%. And we wrote that, but all that collapsed when the counter-revolution came. So the victory of women, the victory of youth faced the ugly counter-revolution that is unfortunately been, the international community silenced in front of all its violence. Not just in Yemen, and even now in Saudi, in Egypt. They always talking about democracy, human rights, women's rights. Now, tens, يعني dozens women or hundreds of women in the prison of a Sisi, and they didn't do anything for them. So they tell us about women's rights, while women in the prison of Sisi, while women been killed under the missile of Saudi and UAE and militia of Al Houthi, while in Syria, and they didn't do anything. So for us, we believe, really believe in women's rights, in human rights, and we are sacrificing. For them, I'm talking about the political, about the government, not about the people, not about institutions, not about media, not about great. I'm talking about governments. They are lying. They are taking that they are support democracy while they support dictatorship. They talking about supporting women's rights while there is many women died for women's rights and now are in the prison in the Saudi, for example, Lujain al-Hudlul and other, and they didn't do anything. They just welcomed the Prince Crown, Mohammed bin Salman and Mohammed bin Salman. They just buy the dirty oil. They just buy the dirty chicks from Saudi and UAE, and that is against the values of the West.